Thank you everyone for joining me today. For those of you who may not be familiar with Eliant, we are a customer experience partner to the home building industry. And we, for the last 40 years, have been helping home builders deliver extraordinary customer experiences. Today, I'm going to share with you a unique tool that builders leverage not only to help them enhance the customer experience, but also to differentiate themselves from the competition and build better quality homes. For simplicity purposes, I'm going to break down TradeSTAR according to the 5 W's. What's TradeSTAR? Why use TradeSTAR? How does it work? Who's involved? And when should we conduct a TradeSTAR? So what is TradeSTAR? TradeSTAR is a comprehensive 360-degree feedback program. It's used to improve your trade performance and build loyalty, optimize your company processes and your departments, foster stronger, more collaborative builder trade partnerships, and elevate your customer experience. The missing piece to builder success. Many builders implement employee feedback. They seek employee feedback, whether it be with quarterly assessments, they do coaching, they probably send out an annual assessment to see if employees are happy with the company. And then many builders also collect customer feedback. But very few, as Stuart just alluded, collect trade feedback. And your trades, as I'm sure you'll agree, they are critical in the customer experience ecosystem. So we have to keep a pulse on those vital relationships. Now, many builders who come to Eliant to use TradeSTAR, they come for a variety of reasons. The first one, of course, is maybe they're struggling with their customer experience and their trade partnerships aren't where they want them, so they'll do a TradeSTAR assessment. We have other builders who want to become a builder of choice in their market. We also have builders who are applying for the NHQ award and they want to set up a formal trade partnership program. And then we have other builders who have tried to do this internally, and especially if they're a multi-division builder, getting all the insights and the surveys back, it's just a lot of work and they never get to it for about a year. So they really reach out to us and have us do it all. How does it work? Well, here at Eliant, we make everything simple for our clients, and we make TradeSTAR really easy with our clients as well. I work very closely with all of our TradeSTAR clients, and the first thing we will do is schedule a tentative launch date, and then we're going to work backwards. I will reach out to you, give you a spreadsheet so that you can provide all of your internal team, communities, email addresses, as well as your trade partners and their information. I suspect that for many of you, most of your trade information will be in your ERP system. And then I will share with you our templated questions for your trade partners as well as your builders. And when I say your builder, I mean that these are questions that you want to get a sense of what your trades think about working with you. And then we're going to launch it. Now, when we launch it, I send you templates that you can send out to plant the seed early on in the process. And then the day of launch, which I'll show you in a moment, the internal team members and your trade partners will each get an email. Within that email introducing the evaluation, they will click on the link. And after that's over, we usually keep it open for about a month. We will have your insights readily available, actually immediately available. Within a week after I study your insights, we will arrange a webinar and I will go over all of your insights and make recommendations. If you are currently a customer experience builder, or if we also work with you on the customer experience side, then I will also go into your customer experience data and see if I can draw any conclusions or any correlations there, because the majority of the time I can. And who's involved in TradeSTAR? Your construction, customer care, and your purchasing teams are all going to be evaluating your trade partners or their trade partners in their respective communities. While at the same time, your trades are going to be evaluating your processes as well as your departments. Now, I'm sure you would agree that when it comes to purchasing, they tend to have different relationships with their trade partners compared to customer care and construction. And the reason I say that is it shows up in the trade scorecards. But because purchasing tends to meet with owners and sales reps, they're meeting with different people, because customer service and construction are meeting with the field teams. So it's very helpful to get insights from each of these departments. And besides, these three departments are also fueling your trade reports. It's not too uncommon to see that your purchasing team will love a particular trade while your customer care and your construction can't stand to work with them. Doesn't happen often, but you're going to see it. And trade partners. These are the trade partners who are typically rated within these categories. There's 18 here. By no means is this exclusive. You can add as many trade partners as you want. And we do have some builders that actually break down the carpentry and the flooring into subcategories. And if you have any regional or national suppliers, I really encourage you to include those as well, especially if they have a direct impact on your customers. Let's say, for example, appliances. Your customers may be complaining about them. You're going to find out in your trade assessment that your customer care and your construction teams, they're probably going to be complaining about them as well. And it's really important to get those insights so your suppliers can see this feedback. And then again, we make it really simple for your internal teams and your trade partners to participate in this TradeSTAR assessment. You probably can't see it right here, but this is the email that goes out. They can click on the link right here, and then they can easily complete this on their iPad, on their phone, or on their desktop. And it takes about a minute per evaluation. Now, these are just some of the trade behaviors that your internal team members will be evaluating your trades on. Now, TradeSTAR is customizable. We realize that builders have certain needs, or they want to dig a little bit deeper into maybe some challenges that they're having. So we do encourage customization. We do have a series of questions that we like you to stay within so that we can benchmark on that. And this is an example of some of the questions that your construction teams will be evaluating your trade partners on. Work completed right the first time. This is all about first time quality. Quality, flexibility, job site cleanliness. Here at Eliant on our customer experience site, job site cleanliness is a referral driver behavior. Your customers experience this too, and job site cleanliness. This is, if your job site is messy, your customers are thinking that they're starting to question the quality of the home. Job site cleanliness can also affect the performance of your trade partners. So we want to hold your trades accountable for specific behaviors. And then if you improve in actually all of these, obviously you're going to improve your efficiency, you're going to improve the customer experience as well. We do have an open comment box for all of your internal team members so that they can share additional feedback. And then we're also going to include the willingness, not to recommend, but the willingness to work with the trade partner again. And this is important because sometimes we're going to see disparities between purchasing, construction, and customer care. TradeSTAR is going to identify those gaps, and then that will allow you to bridge those gaps between those relationships. And then customer service. These are some of the behaviors that your customer service teams will be evaluating their trade partners on in their respective communities. And again, there are some critical behaviors here. Repairs completed right the first time. This is such a critical behavior for the customer experience. But also, for many of you on the line, your customer care team's performance, where your customers are evaluating their performance, is really based a lot on the trade performance. And that's why we not only want to hold your trades accountable for these behaviors, but we also want to make sure they're excelling in those areas, those specific behaviors. And then for your purchasing team has their own set of questions that they're evaluating their trade partnerships on. Many of you on the line, if you have any if you have core values at your company that you live by and you reinforce on a regular basis, you can also have your internal team members evaluate your trades on them. I would encourage you, if you have strong company core values, to also get those embedded in your trades. Your trade partners should know and understand your company core values as well. And this is an additional evaluation for your internal team members. You don't have to use it, but it's an optional evaluation that would be the first evaluation on all their other evaluations. And you can have each internal team member recognize each trade partner who best exemplifies each of your core values. This was an idea that we had from a builder a couple years ago. It asked us if we could do it. We did. And then we thought it was such a brilliant idea. We offer it to all of our builder clients now. But the purpose of this additional evaluation on core values is really to reinforce your core values with your trade partners, recognize them for each of your core values. If you have recognition programs, if you have an annual trade event, this would be a great opportunity to highlight those particular trades. And then these are the individual trade scorecards. Very, very important to use for coaching, recognizing, and even renegotiating with your trade partners. What I'm sharing with you right now, and side note, if some of the print on the screen, I realize with some of the reports I'll be sharing with you, the print might be somewhat small, go ahead and hit the Control plus, and you can each enlarge and then Control minus to bring it back to normal if you need to see the screens.
Thank you.
Now, the individual trade scorecards, this is just showing you Forever Flooring. And within this particular community, only the purchasing team evaluated Forever Flooring. Typically, you're going to have individual trade scorecards that show construction scores for all your construction who evaluated the trade, your customer service, and then purchasing as well. And let me tell you, trades want feedback. I see it all the time in the comments. They want to know how they're doing. How can they improve? So this is a tool that your teams can use to show them how they're performing. And you're going to have a list of all the questions here. You notice we have higher again here. And with this particular trade, even the purchasing team did not give them a high score. This, on these individual trade scorecards, this is where you see the disparity. Purchasing may love the trade partner and not so much on the construction and customer care. And again, this is where TradeSTAR will identify those gaps so that your teams can work towards bridging those gaps. Sometimes the customer care might be relatively new in a community, and maybe they just haven't been around long enough to establish a good relationship that maybe the purchasing and construction team members have, and TradeSTAR highlights all of that. And this is really helpful for your suppliers as well. And I'll give you a quick story that We worked with a builder not too long ago where they had a national supplier and they ranked pretty low at the bottom of their trade rankings, and they were just getting ready to renegotiate with the supplier. So they had this trade scorecard on hand. They brought in all their customer comments because the customers were complaining as well. And now they have all this ammunition to renegotiate and show them, say, hey, you are directly affecting our customer experience. Your distributor is causing a lot of delays. And this is where you have the extra tools for your purchasing teams. And then this is your top trade report. Very helpful. You can break these down from company to division down to community level. And this is very helpful not only in using it to, maybe you want to put trades in additional communities, you want to give more business to additional trades, maybe you're going to be renegotiating, maybe you're going to have to terminate a few trades. You can definitely use this report as well. But basically, you're going to have all your categories. So if you have 18, you have 20 categories, you're going to have a top 5 trade category report. And what you can see, for example, here, if we really focus in on drywall, that you see Abe's Drywall is in 10 communities, so in quite a few communities for this particular builder. Compared to last TradeSTAR assessment they did, their scores have dropped, around 12%, still reasonable total quality index score. And TQI, which you're going to see in future reports shortly, TQI stands for Total Quality Index. That's the composite score of your construction, customer care, and your purchasing team members' scores all together. So this drywaller had about an 82 TQI score. But then if you look at the one above them, their scores are actually improving quite a bit. They're in even more communities. So you look at that and you're like, well, maybe I want to give Stan's Drywall Service additional communities to work in, especially on the customer experience side if your customers are happier in certain communities. So this is how you can use that report as well. And then you're going to definitely want to zoom in on this report. I tried to make this bigger, but it just would not work. This is your trade ranking report, extremely valuable to all of you. This is where you can identify your top and your lower performing trades. All of your trades, let's say you have 100 trades, their scores are all going to appear on this particular report. And you can, I know you might not be able to see this, but you're going to have the number of raters, the number of communities that they're in, your TQI index, again, total quality index, and then you can break it down. So for example, maybe you really want to hyper focus on purchasing. You can break this down and look at all the scores on the purchasing behaviors. So the report can go on quite a bit. But what I typically do when I am presenting the final results to builders, first I sort by the number of communities that your trade partners are in. And the reason I do that is if they're in many or the most of your communities, we want to make sure that they are high performing. They should all be in the green and really delivering for you, because if they're not, they're hurting your customer experience. So we want to make sure we see a lot of green, and obviously green is good. Red is opportunity for improvement here. But you can sort high to low in all of these. After I sort by the number of communities, then I will sort by the TQI, the total quality index. And as you can see here, I have the red highlighted here. And overall, these trades are not performing at the level that you would like them to work on. And if you break this out a little bit more, I like to sort this by would you hire them? Do you want to work with this trade again? And if the consensus is that none of the departments really would want to work with this trade again, this is where you might want to have some of these difficult conversations, especially if the trade partner is not coachable. But you're going to be able to sort this on, like I said, all the behaviors. Some other important categories to sort this on is safety and job site readiness and the quality, because they all affect your efficiencies, they all affect your customer experience as well. And I will share with you that you really want to hone in on those really high performing trades, nurture them, preserve them. Sometimes I see in the trade comments that from these high performing trades is that they are frustrated and they comment on the trades who come in before them because it's dirty, it's incomplete, and they're affecting your top performing trades performance. And they get really irritated because they have, high expectations that they're trying to fulfill. So it's important also when you're looking at this report, look at those trades who may be coming in before some of your other trades. Are they negatively affecting their performance? Because in the end, it goes back to customer experience and the customers are going to lose out. And now, if you want to find out a department and how they rated each trade partner, you can do that by clicking on the ratings by trade report. And this is an example of a particular trade, let's say plumbing, for example. These are all your purchasing team members, their scores on each of the questions for this particular trade. And you notice that if you hover over any of these names, they're all highlighted in blue, up will come a box on each of your raters. And for example, with Julie, you're going to see that Julie rates her trades pretty favorably overall. But with this particular trade, Plumbing Concepts, that's not the case. And this could raise a red flag. If she's if she's rating most of her trades really high, her counterparts, other purchasing team members, are also rating this particular trade favorably, there might be a deeper issue going on. It could be as simple as maybe she's new, maybe she just hasn't cultivated that trade relationship yet, but it's an opportunity to dig a little bit deeper with Julie. And then we also have a report to monitor your employee sentiment with your trades. I always say employee frustration with your trades can definitely affect the customer experience. And this report, again, if you want to zoom in, it's going to list all the evaluations that Julie, in this case, completed on all of her trade partners. If you see a lot of green, that's great. She's got great relationships with her trades. But if you see a lot of red for a certain employee, there's probably bigger issues going on with that employee, and it definitely makes for a conversation. And again, if you see some red in certain communities for Julie, and then you go look at your customer experience data, you look at the performance of the trades in your customer experience reports, and you see some low scores there, then obviously that's when you can bring that data together and really hone in on some issues that haven't been uncovered yet. It's pretty amazing the correlations that you can do with TradeSTAR and your customer experience insights. Now, the trades evaluate you, your departments, as well as your processes. They're going to evaluate your purchasing team, bid process, customer care, construction, and accounting. In the general section, we typically have questions such as, did this builder treat or does this builder treat us fairly? We do have open-ended questions because obviously feedback gives you the why behind the scores. And we have a set of open-ended questions, but of course, TradeSTAR is customizable. So maybe you want to ask some additional questions. Some of the questions that builders often want to add is, would you recommend this builder, let's say ABC Homes, to other trade partners in the Texas market, for example? And when you get those scores, if you got a really low score, that says a little bit something as well. Now, I will tell you, if you've never collected trade feedback and you do this for the very first time, it may hurt because sometimes it's a reflection in the mirror that we just don't want to see. However, as I say with the customer experience side as well, look at complaints or the feedback as gifts. You're asking for the feedback, they're sharing it with you, and it's opportunities for innovation. And that's what you're going to get on the builder scorecard. Again, we make it really simple for your internal team members, but also your trade partners. They're going to get the same email where they can just click on the link. But there's two things I wanted to add and share with you when it comes to your trade partners. First and foremost, it is an anonymous evaluation for your trade partners by default because we want to get as much candid feedback from your trade partners as possible. We want to give them a safe zone. So by default, it's anonymous. Now, if they choose to reveal themselves, they certainly can by clicking this box. And then by doing so, when you get the comments, you're going to see the trade's name and their comments for each question that they chose to comment on. What we have noticed is that, again, if you've never done one before, you may not have that great of trade partnerships that you may have more anonymous trades responding, but feedback is feedback. But they may be sitting on the side waiting to see, are you really actually going to do anything with their feedback? We get that often. And if that's why it's so important to act on the feedback. And by acting on the feedback, whatever they say, especially if it's a consensus among your trades, that when they see you acting on the feedback, the next time you do a TradeSTAR, the anonymity actually decreases. And then another important element of the trade assessment is that it's available in 20 different languages. We realize that there's other languages that might be native to your trade partners, such as Spanish, and they can complete their TradeSTAR assessment in Spanish. And of course, we will transfer it back to English for when you see it. But this shows sensitivity and it helps with the response rate as well. And then this is an example. This is just a page out of the Builder Scorecard. And again, the Builder Scorecard is all the questions that your trades answered for each of your departments and your processes. Incredibly valuable. But this example is showing you purchasing your bid process, but you're going to have a category for accounting, you're going to have a category for construction, customer care, and sometimes builders create their own category as well. But this is very important for your teams to review. And I encourage them to create action plans, especially if you are a multi-division builder. You have several divisions to many divisions. You can break this builder scorecard down to the division level, and divisions can print them off. They can study them and create action plans for each of their teams, purchasing, construction, customer care, and then you couple that with the customer comments at the the trade comments at the division level as well. extremely valuable. Now, one thing I will tell you, especially when it comes to construction, job site readiness, job site readiness, job site readiness. That is the biggest challenge for builders who complete our assessments. Obviously, there are exceptions, but out of all the behaviors, it's trades want the jobs ready when they show up. The materials on site, they want everything because time is money for them. And then also a question that we ask in the accounting section, I believe, is a question on your ERP system. Are you easy to work with as a builder? Are you easy to work with? Are your systems easy to work with? Are they frustrated with your ERP system? So you can actually, if your ERP system is not that great, maybe a little antiquated or what have you, that maybe you want to ask even additional questions, such as maybe you have a new one, a new system. Would you like additional training on this system? You can also ask that question. And when you get the builder scorecard, this is how it will look. If you look at the far right, you're going to see some numbers along the side here. This is the Eliant average. And again, if a builder who conducts a TradeSTAR assessment uses all of our templated questions, you're going to see the Eliant average on that particular question alongside to the right. And then this may surprise all of you, and this might surprise you as well, Stuart. The top 3 factors. Earlier this year, we asked the question, what are top 3 factors important? What 3 factors are most important to you when deciding to work with a builder? And there were 14, 15 to choose from, some of them job site readiness, clear blueprints, stability, volume, a lot of the surface level questions that most builders expected that trades would select. However, no matter what market that these trades were in, these are the 3 that were most important to trades. And I will share with you that again, whatever market they're in, these 3 always show up as the top 3. They may not be in the same order, but they're showing the same 3. And if you think about great communication, that's the oxygen, right? To all great relationships, you've got to have great communication. And then you can't have loyalty unless you have great communication. And when it comes to loyalty, where it's evident in the trade comments is when the trades bend over backwards for a builder and they will show up at the last minute, they'll take care of repairs, they'll take care of maybe the former trades inefficiencies or what have you, but then the trade doesn't get the next job. And they mention this in the comments. And when you think about it, they're letting you know that, ouch, that hurts. And it's not being reciprocated. And that's what I mean by loyalty. Because again, you're going to see these comments in your trade comments report. And again, it's sometimes for builders, it's they just don't realize it, or maybe they just don't go down that road. But trades are people too, right? Their need for great communication, loyalty is no different than what your customers are wanting as well. And of course, timely pay. Everyone has to get paid because that affects their profits. Now, I know you're not going to be able to see this because it's a lot, so please zoom in. This is the comments report, the trades comment report. And if you remember on that builder scorecard, I said there was a general section, and that's where we ask the open-ended questions. This is where it's all compiled. And again, you can sort this by division level. So you can supplement the builder scorecard with these comments to really get some hardcore insights. The customer comments, you can not only sort them down to the division level, you can also sort them by question, and you can create a search. For example, if you have a brand promise, if you want to make sure your trades feel a different way, you can type in a keyword here and look to see if your trades are, saying that specific comment. And you're going to have trades per question. You can run this report showing 10, showing 100. You can print this, you can download it to Excel as well. But this comment report is incredibly valuable because this is where you're going to not only get feedback, but we're asking trades, what can this builder do differently to improve? What are other builders doing that maybe this builder should also be doing? So it's opportunities for innovation and improvement. And when you have this communication, when you get this feedback and you make these changes, beautiful things truly happen. If you can't tell, I'm very passionate about TradeSTAR. So how do you use the TradeSTAR assessment results? Well, first and foremost, if you're trying to deliver a certain type of customer experience, everyone wants to deliver a great customer experience. But if you need to define that with your trades as well, because they are part of that customer experience ecosystem. So they need to be in the know as well as to what type of customer experience you're trying to deliver, as well as quality. And it all goes into setting those expectations up front. If first time quality is one of your goals, you've got to provide your trades with an example and let them know what first time quality is all about, what quality means to you. Because if you don't set those expectations for your trades, they're just going to continue building and doing their job like they do for every other builder out there. So it's really important to take those trade scorecards, share it with your trades, and let them know about the customer experience and the quality you're trying to deliver. And then again, with those trade scorecards, because they want feedback, identify, recognize your top trades, coach your underperforming trades. Of course, some may be more sensitive to others. And with those, because they're out there, I always encourage you to start out with a positive first, where they're doing really well, and then where they can improve and, give them examples. And then become the builder of choice, especially for the private builders. I know that this is really a differentiator for them. They've noticed that when they have those really strong partnerships, their customer experience scores are much higher, especially at the mid-year and the year end. And this the TradeSTAR results really, they quantify your strengths and weaknesses as well as your trade partner's strengths and weaknesses. And then, of course, you also want to use the reports, especially those focused on your employees, to underline or to identify some perhaps underlying issues that your team members might be having with certain trades. Because why this is so important is, one, now again, you're able to quantify it, that if your trades are frustrated, I'm sorry, if your, let's say customer care, if they're really frustrated with certain trade partners, that it's going to affect their morale. And that gets transferred over to the customer experience as well. So I want to make sure that each of your team members also have a great working relationship. And then when? When is a good time to conduct a TradeSTAR assessment? I would not recommend it during the holidays, no later than November 15th. But if you've never done a TradeSTAR assessment, never gathered trade feedback, both sides, I would highly, highly recommend it. You need a compass on these vital trade relationships, because if you don't, you can't improve, right? You can't improve what you're not measuring. And TradeSTAR gives you, it's your compass. It truly is, to elevating the customer experience, to becoming the builder of choice, to taking your customer experience to a new level, but really improving the collaboration, the communication, and the engagement with your trade partnerships. Because again, I've seen beautiful things happen. I remember there's one, I forget the builder, but there was a construction team member that he reamed a trade partner. That trade partner reamed the construction and said, some things in the comments on this particular construction member. And they worked it out. They have a great relationship. 6 months later, after they did the next TradeSTAR assessment, oh my goodness, night and day with comments and ratings and everything else. So again, TradeSTAR is your compass, and it's going to get you to that next level. And I would like to leave you with a quote, because this is a quote that I often mention to our TradeSTAR clients, and it's by Maya Angelou. Many of you may know or be familiar with Maya. She says that people won't remember what you said, what you did, but they will always remember the way you made them feel. And that goes with your trade partners as well. Do they feel like a trade partner, or is the relationship more one-sided? This is where TradeSTAR can really help you.
That's very good. Can you hear me, Christy?
I can, Stuart. I'll turn it back over to you.
I do have a question for you. I didn't want to interrupt you, but kind of the mechanics of it. So let's say we sign up a new client, and do you have a meeting with the vendors and say, hey, we're about to embark on this process, and you gather them all together, or is there a webinar, or how do you communicate to the trades you're about to do this?
With the trade partners?
Yeah, with the trade partners.
Yeah, very good. Now, I usually, again, if we schedule a tentative launch date and work backwards, I will encourage the builder to start planting the seeds with their trade partners. Send out emails. If you have trade meetings, bring it up there. Have your field team members talk about it. Plant that seed early on, so that, because typically we're not going to launch it, within a month. But start planting that seed early, so they're going to be ready for it. We're going to have a date for them, letting them know. And then when we do launch it, the day before, we're going to have the builder send out a mass email to let all of their trades know it's launching tomorrow. And the reason that the builder sends it out is they're more familiar with the email address and more likely to see it, so that when they send it out, we launch it the next day.
Got it.
And then we will send out reminders every 3 to 4 days to those who have not responded to their TradeSTAR assessment. And at the same time, I will be sending you, the builder, your response rates thus far from your trade partners, as well as your internal raters and their names, whether or not they've completed it as well.
And how long does it
It's a great
usually
question.
take for you to begin to amass enough data to begin analyzing it? 20%, 30% response, or how does that work?
The response rate varies, and I'll give you a few situations. Now, as soon as the TradeSTAR assessment has been completed, the data is ready. It's ready to go. I usually hold back a week because I want to get in there and analyze all the results so that I can give recommendations as well. Now, response rates, while we have builders as high as 40 to 60+%.
Wow.
But it varies on so much, Stuart. There's certain factors that come into play. Now, if you are a builder with thousands of trades, I'm not going to expect you to get that 60%. I mean, that's a humongous volume of trade partners.
Oh, for sure.
If you've never done a TradeSTAR assessment, response could be a little bit lower. If you are a builder who doesn't have that great of relationships with your trade partners, it could be a little bit longer or a little bit lower. But if you're a trade-centric builder, they're happy to give this feedback. The situation where a builder, again, if they don't have the greatest relationships with the trade partners, they may have trade partners sitting on the side just wondering, okay, if we give feedback, are you going to do anything with it?
Mhm.
And that's why at the conclusion, Stuart, at the conclusion of the program, we always emphasize that study the insights, listen to my recommendations, and send out an email to your internal team members too, but your trade partners, letting them know you appreciate the feedback and you're taking action. You may want to even list a few that might be really simple, easy wins for you, but you're
Mhm.
showing all the trades, all the internal team members that you're acting on the
Okay.
feedback.
All right. One more question.
Mhm.
If the builder has some trades of people who are not computer literate, you can't see me do air quotes. Is there a mechanism for having them fill out a form and submitting it to you, or how does that work?
Yeah, I haven't ran into that, but I'll be more than happy to call that trade.
Hmm. Okay.
You can call that trade, or we can even print it out for them. But yeah, I'm more than happy to do that.
Okay. I appreciate that. All
And
right.
then one
Go ahead.
last moment, Stu. If you do a TradeSTAR with Eliant and then you do additional
Hmm.
TradeSTAR assessments in our portal, our TradeSTAR portal, you're going to always be able to toggle between the current and the prior assessments as well, so you can monitor your improvements. So you'll always have access to those insights.
Oh, okay. Perfect.